open the meeting of the Conservation Commission of July 8th, 2026.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ron.
Yeah.
You should still put on TV. No,
Well said.
relax. Seconded by Don. No. Need a motion? Who's that motion?
Yep, so we vote.
Second vote.
Yep.
So we'll do
So-
roll call vote because we have James online. Our chair, Mike, isn't here today, so I'm filling in for him as the vice chair. And Steve is not here today. So, Pam. Aye. Nicole. Aye. Don.
Aye.
James.
Aye.
Unanimous vote.
Okay.
The first up, new public hearing, 26 Pearl Street, notice of intent. I feel like a motion to open it.
Yeah, it usually reads the whole.
But this just makes it. Construction of a standalone energy storage system with riverfront area and 100-foot buffer zone to bank and isolated vegetated wetland impacts. Applicant ZPB 2020-030 LLC, CO 0.12 Inc. Representatives LAC Environmental Consultants. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Before the motion is made, I need to give a disclosure because I was on the ZBA. So our town's legal representation gave me the language. Based on the recommendation of Bellingham Legal Counsel, I would like to enter into the public record that I am also a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and as such, I voted on this project during the ZBA meeting based on the merits of the application and public interest. However, unless there is a formal objection by the applicant, I intend to participate in the Concom meeting objectively and with an open mind, basing my votes that I make on the merits of the application and public interest. So with that, I'll make a motion to open the, what do you call it? The hearing.
James.
Aye.
Nicole. Aye. Don.
Aye.
Pam. Aye.
Welcome. Welcome.
Good evening, Tom Corbett with ZP Battery Devco, and here with me tonight is Jack Denninger with Fuss & O'Neill. Andrea Campbell couldn't be here tonight with LEC, so she'll be at subsequent hearings. Do I have the ability to share yet?
No, I will do that right now.
So for starters, I guess, project parcel being 26 Pearl Street, ZP Battery Devco was awarded an RFP back in 2020 for this site for the purposes of installing an energy storage system. Request for proposal. So the town put out a request for proposal back in early, or maybe late 2019, and awards went out or were granted to us anyway, in July of 2020. So since then, we've been in a long-term ground lease with the town of Bellingham for this project site for the development of an energy storage system. So we've been working through many different avenues over the past 6 years. The long pole really being Eversource. So that has since come up to date, and Eversource is moving forward. So we're back here in front. We started this process back probably 3 years ago or so, back when Ann Matthews was here, and did some site walks and never really just got into permitting because of Eversource. So we're here now to permit the project through. And I think tonight our goal would be to understand whether the commission would like to have a peer review, site walk, things of that nature. We don't have a DEP number as of yet. We anticipate getting that in the coming weeks. We also have anticipated conditions, given other projects and resource areas throughout the state that we've done. So we can touch on that a little bit later. But we'll get into the project a little bit first here. Yeah, I'll let you,
Sure.
jump in.
Yeah, so as Tom mentioned, my name is Jack Denninger. I'm a civil engineer with Fuss and O'Neill. We worked on the site plans that you see here. So as was mentioned, the site's located at 26 Pearl Street, which is identified by the town assessor as map 4 lot 60. And it's owned by the town of Bellingham. The site is approximately 19.5 acres, and it's bounded by woods to the north, the Charles River to the east, Pearl Street to the south, and then residential properties and woods to the west. So the existing site within the limit of work generally consists of concrete foundations and material stockpiles. Again, which is generally speaking what you're seeing on the plans here. The northern portion of the site does become wooded, but for the purposes of our limit of work in our area, the existing conditions is primarily impervious with concrete foundations and material stockpiles. Wetland resource areas were delineated by LEC environmental consultants on February 10th and 18th of 2022, and then confirmed on March 19th of 2026. And those resource areas consist of bordering vegetated wetlands, which are to the west and northwest of the existing developed area here, isolated vegetated wetland to the west of the existing developed area, bank and mean annual high water line to the Charles River to the east, and then the 200-foot riverfront area associated with the Charles interior to the site. A portion of the site does lie within the 100-year floodplain. However, all of our proposed work is at an elevation above the 100-year floodplain elevation. In regards to proposed conditions, so generally speaking, we'll be removing the concrete foundations within the limit of work on the eastern portion here of the site to make way for the energy storage system. We'll be constructing a gravel access road that connects to the driveway from Pearl Street to the south or to the bottom of the screen here, which does then connect up to the energy storage system itself. That energy storage system is enclosed in a chain link fence, which results in approximately 1/4 of an acre. And there's within that fenced area, there's crushed stone with the energy storage equipment within containers on concrete piles and other auxiliary equipment associated with it. The total land disturbance for the project is a little bit under an acre, and it also results in the construction of additional stormwater features and improvements such as storm drains, manholes, sediment forebay, and infiltration basin. So specifically for this development, it results in a decrease in impervious area of over 11,000 square feet. And then it also, in terms of buffer zone impacts, there's no work within the 50-foot buffer zone of the BVW, IVW, or bank. There's approximately 9,000 square feet of work within the 100-foot buffer zone associated with the bank and IVW, primarily consisting of the infiltration basin, and then a small portion of that, which has some of the gravel access road and fence and electrical equipment. And then there's no work proposed within the 100-foot buffer zone of the BVW itself. Riverfront area work, we do have work associated with that 200-foot riverfront area with the Charles. There's approximately 39,000 square feet of work occurring within it, between 100 and 100, or between 0 and 100 feet for the riverfront area. There's about 7,700 square feet of alteration within that previously degraded riverfront area. And then between 100 and 200 feet, there's just under 32,000 square feet of alteration. So the site is located within the historic mill complex footprint and is considered exempt from the performance requirements of the riverfront area. There is a small corner that isn't within the footprint, and that's going to be resulted in vegetated area. There is, again, also a small corner of our limit of work that falls within the NHESP priority habitat of rare species and estimated habitat of rare wildlife. It's approximately 300 square feet, and the work we're proposing in it is just removing a corner of concrete foundation and restoring with topsoil and seed. So as I mentioned before, there are stormwater improvements associated with this project. So in existing conditions, the stormwater runoff flows off of these concrete foundations, generally speaking to the east, untreated towards the Charles River. In proposed conditions, a portion of that will continue to flow to the east, specifically within our energy storage system itself. A portion will just generally flow overland to the east to the sediment forebay, which is just next to the infiltration basin, or it'll fall within the secondary containment area, which is the darker blue highlights on the screen there. And stormwater runoff that falls within that will flow through an underdrain into a vault, through a manhole, and then ultimately into the sediment forebay again. So all the stormwater runoff from the energy storage area will ultimately make its way into the sediment forebay for pre-treatment prior to overflowing into the infiltration basin. That infiltration basin is designed to recharge stormwater and provide the water quality volume associated with the energy storage system area, and is designed consistent with the Mass DEP Stormwater Handbook and some associated Town of Bellingham stormwater regulations. Peak flow attenuation, again, there's some that's provided in the infiltration basin, but that's primarily reduced and driven by the decrease in impervious area and the increase in vegetation when compared to existing conditions. And then finally, during construction related periods, we do have an erosion sediment control plan, which consists of a construction entrance, compost filter socks around the perimeter of the disturbed area, and catch basin inlet protection.
I do have some pictures here, just to kind of give you a better overview of what this looks like on site here. So this is existing conditions of the site. Got two pretty massive piles of asphalt millings on site right now. And then there's a big pile of bricks in this general area here right now. So that's gonna all be, oh, well, the asphalt millings are the DPWs and they may move them to the other portion of the site, but the bricks over here along the portion of where our site is, will all be removed from the site. And this kind of gives a good depiction of what the site looks like when it is constructed here. So the access road coming in, turn around, infiltration basin along that eastern edge, and then the electrical equipment all in a row here. And like Jack said, it's about a 1/4 acre of area that's going to be fenced in, and the remainder of the site is left for DPW facilities usage. Part of the request for proposal requires us to install a new fence along Pearl Street and plantings along Pearl Street, as well as there's a small material handling area that's kind of a tan with the black outline here that the DPW uses maybe for some catch basin stuff. I'm not really positive what they use it for today, but we're proposing a fence there as well as part of the request for proposal. So that aligns with everything that we're required to meet. There's some extra screening here from Plain Street. Existing Pearl Street. You see the asphalt milling piles there. Our access road pretty much comes in to the right, to the east side of this front most existing pile of asphalt millings. And here's proposed conditions here with the new fence. We are bringing a hydrant across the street, just to note. And here's the site a little bit closer zoomed in. So Jack touched on secondary containment. We anticipate DEP drawing down some comments to you all to require, and under a condition, to require secondary containment of firewater runoff, the potential of firewater runoff. This has been consistent for the last probably 2 years out of the DEP office. And we have that language. We've worked with DEP on many other projects, and we've built this system and designed this system to meet those standards in which they would like to see. So just want to touch on that too here. So within the fence, we've got 2 areas of containment. So the first one would be this area here. So that is containing any water that's falling within this zone around these three southernmost energy storage containers, as well as the green medium voltage substation, which is essentially a transformer. But we did add that into the secondary containment area. And then to the north, there are two more battery containers with another transformer skid. So there's a separate containment area here. And when we look back at the plans, they don't necessarily flow as it shows here on this diagram. The northern portion flows out to the north and into the sediment forebay, and the southern portion flows to the south and out into the sediment forebay down there. So just to give you an idea, we're about 10 feet off the sides of the containers in each direction. And then I've got a volume calculation here, so the total volume of both of these combined would be 17,000, roughly just under 18,000. But the northern portion being the smaller containment area with the less equipment holds right around 7,000 gallons. It's 1.5 feet deep, underground subsurface secondary containment system. It's a polyvinyl membrane, and it is constructed and installed by Basic Concepts Inc. So they're our contractor for the secondary containment. They do systems similar to that you would see at the substation across the utility easement for large transformers. So it's essentially a polyvinyl membrane, which is just a big piece of rubber that goes subsurface 1.5 feet. It's covered with crushed stone for 6 inches above it. That's called a fire quenching stone. So any liquids that may be on fire, in this scenario, there's nothing that would be on fire as a liquid, but it does quench the flames as it goes to the ground. The southern portion has a containment area with a capacity of around 10,500 gallons roughly. So I just wanted to touch on that and show you here. So this here in this portion, this drains to an under drain, which is on the eastern edge of the secondary containment that goes to a vault box that's within that containment area that has an automatic valve. So upon an alarm of an overheat or if there was a fire and an e-stop was hit, that vault that has the valve would shut. And then that would essentially create a bathtub. So any fire water that's used to essentially cool surrounding containers. There's no putting water onto a container that's on fire. You let the energy burn out. So any water that falls within here would be trapped, and somebody like Clean Harbors would be there to pump that out, water testing thereafter. And I think we'll see that come down through DEP as a comment. But operationally, in normal operation, all that water is allowed to evacuate. So it's just falling through the crushed stone and evacuating on a normal daily basis until an alarm is triggered. It creates the bathtub. There's also another manhole just outside of each of these containment areas that has a manual valve as a secondary measure. That is also we'll see that as a comment from DEP as well. So just wanted to touch on secondary containment and what that looks like. I can show you as well, really kind of what that looks like in real life. So this is what that looks like. You get the polyvinyl membrane, it gets brought up to the concrete foundations, it's secured with metal strapping and some kind of epoxy glue that they use. And then on the sides, it gets staked. It's all preformed corners, so that all gets staked, and then it gets filled with a pea stone and crushed stone on top of that up to the surface above 6 inches above the top of the polyvinyl membrane. So this is kind of, this middle picture here is really what it looks like when it's installed. And then it gets filled with the stone here, as you can see in this bottom picture. All these secondary containment systems meet full SPCC regs. Not that this system has to abide by it, but it is a system that is backed also by a $7 million environmental insurance policy through BCI. And this is just kind of a little rendering of what that might look like. I think that might be a lot of information, so I'll leave it back to you guys on when we want to proceed.
And any comments that we wanna add or things that you wanna call out?
Not really to start. I think mostly just getting some peer review on this, I think will be helpful. It is a lot of information.
I have
And
a couple questions, if I may.
let me just note, that the planning board's reviewing stormwater under a development plan application. Property is exempt from review under the local bylaw. So we'll just reference the planning board stormwater review for compliance with those requirements. So,
So first, you had mentioned that it's above the 100-year flood. How high up above is it?
So I can kind of roughly show you on the plan of what the
Yeah, I was
100
trying to
year.
figure it out here. And I
So the
just-
100-year flood really, so if you're on Pearl Street, you're on the bridge
Mhm.
and you're looking at the river north to south. The south side is all flood zone. On the north side where you're looking at our site, it's just a small portion, like right here, that's within the 100-year flood zone. And then there's a small portion like right over in this general area. So elevation wise, Jack.
Yes,
said
so the flood, 100-year floodplain elevation just directly adjacent is 182.8. The lowest portion of our work, which is the stormwater basin, is at 184. So that's like 1.5 feet above it. And then the energy storage system itself, the lowest corner of fence line we have is at 186.4. And then it continues to go up beyond that. So that's 3.5 feet above it at its lowest point.
Thank you.
That using the 2012 or the newest one?
2025.
Okay, in the stormwater.
Yeah, that's slightly outdated. We can provide the updated the FEMA flood profile and flood map as well.
You had talked about the holding capacity of the water. Yes, you said about what, 18,000 gallons roughly.
Yep.
Does that include the gravel that's in there also, or is that in addition to like the holding capacity, in addition to the gravel that is filled?
So that accounts for the gravel and the concrete pads within that square footage area. So the calculations, I can show you here. But it does. So once there's a factor of 3 for crushed stone when you're looking at this. This part is going to cause problems.
It's okay.
There you go. Get rid of it. Oh, perfect. So within the smaller area, it's about 1,500 square feet, roughly a little bit more, at a 1.5 depth. That gives us 2,300 odd cubic feet. Multiply that by a factor of 3, which is an industry standard for having the crushed stone in there. It comes to 6,998 gallons. So that is accounting for the crushed stone. Had there be no crushed stone in there, we'd be looking at a factor of 8.
So what is that based on?
What's that?
Like, so each of the basins has a different, what gallon?
Capacity wise? Yes, so the basis that we're kind of going off of is a typical response. Working with our fire protection engineers and our consultants on the project, Minimal water usage is used during a fire event. It's advised not to put water on the affected container. You're only utilizing fire water for surrounding exposures. I know it's kind of contrary to what we hear on the news about cars, totally different scenario. You have life safety involved with cars and people on highways. Fire departments have to do what they have to do for those things. But in a secured environment, internal to the property, no life safety involvement, not a manned operation, there's no habitable containers. So fire water usage is expected to be under 5,000 gallons for a normal event, if you want to call anything normal. Massachusetts has never had a fire event with energy storage in the last 10 odd years that they've been installed at this scale in the state. So I guess that's a testament to energy, electrical codes and building codes that we have here in the state.
Is it, do you have to do something different in Massachusetts that makes it less likely to catch on fire?
I don't know the answer to that, but I know that other states have fires and have seen problems, and Massachusetts has over 1,000 of these containers all over the state, and we've never had one.
Or it just be.
Could be. That's why we always prepare for the worst.
Yes, yeah, no, perfect. Do you have any more questions?
Yeah, so you said you prepared for the worst, right? And so, but you had said that 5,000 is average, the number of gallons that would be used to cool the area. What, so, what's the range? The historical range for putting out something of this size, not to put out the fire, but to contain it?
No fire is the same. So that I probably misspoke on saying average or whatever I had said there previously, but in discussions with our fire engineers and consultants who actually set fires to these systems every day. And they collect water and data runoff for contaminants and so what have you. So under their guidance, under their directive within the emergency response plan and how to handle a fire, there's not expected to be used any more than 5,000 gallons of water to cool surrounding containers. You're letting the energy burn out of the
Right, but what about the smoke and gases that are emitted? Do they not use moisture or water to try to contain that, or is it just allowed to
might use
go
a
into the environment?
might use a fogging pattern to direct or what have you, but not to suppress. Now, a lot of the smoke is actually most of the smoke is that of a structure fire, hydrocarbons, things of that nature. The nice part about these fires is we know what's in it versus a structure fire we don't. So there's a lot of knowns in this scenario versus any normal structure fire.
I feel like they must have like a basis of calculation by which they're, coming up with this figure if they're experts. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
would love to see
By
how this is calculated.
by the way the response is handled, because you're only utilizing water for surrounding exposures.
Yeah, but like there must be a calculation they're using of like, okay, we have one of these things, we generally need X amount of gallons, so the safest amount is X more. Now we have two, like there has to be some sort of basis calculation. It's just not.
I don't believe that there is, to be honest, because it's not like they're setting the whole system on fire on a daily basis as a consultant. But we've discussed this with the fire department. They're comfortable with this and they agree with the direction that we're going with the secondary containment.
How would 5,000 gallons compare to like another type of fire, if you have an example of that?
A house fire? I'm not an expert on fires, to be honest, and I can't speak to that.
I think that I would love to see more information about this, about how that's calculated, and are we sure that that's going to be enough if there is a fire?
Yeah.
I can try and run something down, for
Yeah.
sure,
No, that'd
do
be
my
great.
best on that.
And if we do have a peer review, we want them to look at that.
I
too.
would I definitely think.
I mean, yeah, because I know swimming pools tend to hold a lot more than that, and so I'm just curious, trying to protect the surrounding area, you're trying to keep whatever gases are being produced from creating an issue with neighbors and everything. I don't know whether 5,000 is overkill or whether it's really not as adequate as we like to see it from a safety perspective, so.
And just a note to, just generally keeping it kind of wetland focused. I know
Yeah.
the runoff.
But the runoff, right, the water, then
That's
that would,
next to the,
Correct.
I just want to make.
Yeah,
sure
not
for
from a-
everybody in the room.
yeah, that's not,
That's it.
fire safety is not
Right.
my,
Yeah, exactly.
our
It's
jurisdiction.
just
But
the water.
In the jurisdiction.
I had a thought if you're done with your list on.
And my last question is, you said if the valve mechanically is activated, is that electronic and can that be affected by the fire itself and therefore that valve isn't shut off and all that water ends up,
So
going
it's
to the
normally
valve?
powered. So the valve's normally powered. So upon a fault and upon a depower, it shuts.
Okay, so it's powered to
It's
stay open.
they call it, I want to say normally open, but it's called it normally closed. So when it's
So all
powered,
powered
it's
is
open.
closed. Yep, so if I unplugged it, it would close.
Right.
Okay.
So I guess one of my thoughts is I definitely would want to know more about the history of the site. Cause I remember the mill there and we know that in the area, a big problem is a lot of the pollutions with the mills that were in the area. So like, what kind of mill was this? What did they do when they tore down the mill to make sure that there were no contaminants left in the soil? Is digging up that concrete, those concrete slabs, which ultimately would be a good thing for decreased impervious area, is digging that up a problem, is digging things up and adding gravel. I would want to know what was done there, which I know nothing about.
You may be able to find that on the Mass CP searchable sites database to get like the detailed history, but I think if we have like a high level overview as well of like what you plan to do with contaminated soil if encountered, that would be helpful.
Yeah, we would have to follow Mass DEP protocol on that.
I mean, do we even
That's-
know if it's there?
So the site's been remediated by the town substantially. The town spent more than $500,000 remediating the site. So it was considered a brownfield and it is no longer. So the DEP has established that it's been cleaned up, understanding that your concerns about underneath the pads. That I will say this portion of the site is the oldest kind of portion of the site for concrete pads. The front portion is maybe a little bit more where the actual happenings were happening in the mill. This was more of a storage portion of the mill. That much I know.
I would love to, I'm sure we have records on that somewhere. I would love to
Like AUL on it.
dig through that, yeah.
Leave residual contamination.
They used to, yeah. There's no AUL today.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, there's a couple monitoring wells out there on site in the back corner, like within, so just beyond the NHESP line, there's 2 monitoring wells way back there. They're still there today.
Nicole, James, any questions?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Well, entertain a motion that
I don't
we-
have any questions. I will just note that I'm recusing myself from this hearing based off my employment.
Should have done that at the beginning, but okay.
I know, I forgot to mention it.
All right, well, I'll entertain a motion that we require peer review. The motion,
Yeah, well, yeah. Whatever, yeah, yeah. If we-
okay,
Yeah.
moved by Pam, seconded by Don. Yeah, aye. Nicole?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
And James is recused, so should I be voting too, Hank?
Yeah, you have to from.
Aye. Unanimous vote.
If I may, is there an interest in a site walk?
Yes.
Yes. And now, are there any members of the public who have any comments or questions? You address them to me and raise your hand orderly. Oh, you can go. I'll wait, go ahead.
Actually, this is the first one I have come and then I got a good amount of information. But I liked her
For the
approach.
record,
Yes.
right, for the record, ma'am, could we have your name and address?
My name is Sri Praki. We are on 25 Plain Street, Franklin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So based on the information that is provided, I really like the inputs and questions you have asked and I would lean back to this madam.
Yeah.
Pamela. Pamela, as to get some history, because there are some neighboring, you know, houses and then there is a community there. And what are the impacts and what are the kind of like effects based off the information that is provided? How would it impact? Based off that, if you can make a decision that you take. You have not yet made it.
It's gonna probably be a little while before we make one because we don't even have a DEP file number yet.
Because we have a, neighborhood full of kids and, and a good, environment around, so we want to keep it along with the business. Thank you.
Anything else? I do have a few questions.
Could you state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. Suzanne Domestico. I live at 10 Pearl Street, which is 2 houses away from the site. So, there is a man-made channel where the river runs through. They have restored, I believe it's, the right-hand side. I'm not sure if it's north. They have not, Children Watershed has not restored the left side of the bridge if you're going towards Franklin. And then there's a concrete pad that they are going to, I believe, excavate. Do they know, are there plans, what is under that concrete pad? It seems quite extensive. You can see where the mill used to be and concrete going across the river. Some of the concrete channel on either side is solid concrete, but then as you go further down, there's stone. So I'm curious, has anybody investigated what's under that pad? Is it going to compromise the man-made channel? What's going to happen there? Also, they mentioned the water, I guess it was fire water or something, and you had a question about fire water. Who is the fire water directly from the fire hydrant, or do they have a fire plan for right at the site? Like, how many gallons per minute are being, I don't know, to keep the other batteries cool if there was a thermal event? And it was a very good question too, and it's a very big concern of us in the neighborhood. For, if there was a thermal event, then it's not even considered a fire. Do we know how many days that takes for one of those batteries to extinguish? Because I know that they can't extinguish it with the water or with any kind of fire suppression. So, and then is there an evacuation plan for the neighbors? What happens with the toxic fumes that come off if it's in the middle of the winter? Like, there's 1,000 questions, of course. I could go on for 10 or 15 minutes. Are they, how often do they clear the snow? We have blizzards. What if there's a thermal event during a blizzard? Then whatever the toxic, whatever comes off the thermal event would end up in the river, and there's communities downstream that it would affect. Has anybody taken that into consideration?
Answers to that, or could you get
So,
answers?
yeah, so I'm sure there'll be other meetings. But,
Through the chair, so many of those subject matters are handled in planning board. I hear you loud and clear on the fire water, and thermal events and times of year. We are responsible to keep the roadway open per the fire department requirements, as far as how snow comes. And to answer your question on water is supplied from the hydrant. We are bringing a new hydrant onto our side of the Pearl Street. That will be accessible to the fire department, that they can lay hose down and position their ladder truck. We've reviewed this plan with the fire department extensively previously, and he has opined on it more recently. And this is actually the design that he wanted for access into the site. So this is where the plan led us and putting the project up in this corner. As far as fire water, a man line is about 250 gallons per minute if it's wide open. Fogging pattern is a little bit less there. Anticipated times of fires is hard to say, and I wouldn't want to put a number on it because no event's the same. And to put a number on a worst case scenario would be inappropriate at this point right now. So I don't know how to answer that piece of it, but our documents with planning board have extensive data on the failure of events and the cell testing and unit testing. So NFPA drives a lot of the guidance that we have. So the NFPA 855 specifically is a fire code that we have to follow for energy storage systems that dictate how things go. And I guess I'd leave it at that, I guess, for now. NFPA 855 is the directive that we have to follow, that the fire department is making sure that we're abiding by.
So along those lines, right, just because we are talking about water, and the potential for it to contaminate the child should something occur that's catastrophic. So next time we get together, if you can explain to me a little bit better about the calculations that we used in order to determine the amount of water that needs to be contained during what you're calling, whether it's a standard or whatever. I'd like to understand what that is so we can see what is that range, because
Yeah,
I'm not looking for absolute worst case, but
yeah, and to that effect too, so these manholes that are also outside of the area of the fence line,
Mhm.
those manholes are also there as support for fire. So during an event, we can also suck water out of that containment area, so capacity could be endless. Because we immediately upon a response, the pumper truck is on site, it's going to site. So a Clean Harbors truck would be dispatched to the site. If there was any anticipation of that containment area becoming full based upon the amount of water that they're using on site, it would be evacuated from the truck with the truck.
so those manholes, if I understand you correctly, they function as a support for a pump
They do.
to drain. And then what's the typical response time for, like, I don't know whether, fire departments very often are 5 minutes and they're there. Clean Harbor, I don't know what their response time is, but if it's.
That would all be dictated through the emergency response plan that we put together with the fire department.
Okay.
Specifically for this site. We would identify somebody to dispatch. There would be a subject matter expert on site within an hour is the requirement under 855. But there would be, just like a normal solar field area with batteries like you have here in town, there'd be a sign on the fence that tells you what the operator number is, and also the manufacturer, Sungrow as well, for this particular system. So they have eyes in the system virtually, because these things are monitored from afar. So they can really tell the fire department kind of what's going on and the subject matter expert what's going on.
Okay.
But I can run down calculations, but I think they should be assuaged by the fact that we can pump while things are happening.
Do you have any questions related to pipeline?
We've been to a lot of meetings, so I just had a question about, this wasn't answered previously. There was more than 50 gallons of coolant that they were using. I had a question about what exactly was that coolant being used for? What would the likelihood be of not just a thermal event, but the coolant somehow getting into the river? What is the safety plan for that? Other than the thermal event, I guess the biggest concern is the river and all the communities downstream. it's just enormous.
I can quickly touch on that. So each battery container holds, somewhere around, so this is the newer system. So this one holds around 500 liters each. That cooling, so that ethylene glycol mixture, just like your car, just like parking your car and having a closed cooling fluid. That's what is inside of this system. It also has an air cool mode, during times of low temperature, which is minimal. But these battery storage containers have modules within them that are cooled with ethylene glycol mixture that runs on a closed loop system. That holds 500 liters roughly. Am I speaking to that right? 500 liters?
I think what you told me was 400
It's
liters.
400 liters
500
and it's 550 of secondary containment. Sorry, I got numbers mixed up. So each container has 400 liters of coolant in it. And there's a secondary containment pan within each energy storage container that holds more than 110. It's actually 137.5% of the amount of fluid that's in the container.
And that would be before it
DEP
actually got to the containment.
Secondary containment measures have to contain 110%. This far exceeds that before it would spill out of that containment area. That can be drained into an appropriate container upon any kind of spill inside the container. So there shouldn't be any concern as far as ethylene glycol introduced into the dirt, as it would be contained within the pan within the container.
Thank you.
I'm going to close the public comment period because this has gone on for more than 45 minutes. I have one more question.
And I would just say, you guys can also, feel free to send like written questions or comments to me, to my email, and then we can get those in written form, and then share them, and then maybe able to provide like a written response and have the commission see those questions as well, because we, want you to be able to get all your questions and get those answers, and especially if they're questions that multiple people have, if there's some sort of written response that people can refer back to, or just you yourself can refer back to, it might be helpful.
What is your name?
Hannah Chase, I'm the conservation agent.
Okay.
And we're going to have more meetings, so.
Yes.
All right, any other comments from the commission?
I just have one question real quick, sorry. So looking at some documentation here, it seems that after a fire event, there is like, depending on how it happens, how it's cleaned up, there can be a large amount of pollution nearby, including in the nearby waterways. Is there some sort of plan for like after something like that were to happen to check the soils, check the riverbanks, check the
We have a spill management plan that will be submitted to you all. We're actually finalizing that. Jack's been working on that, running that down for the new system. We had it compiled for the older system, but we then run it up on the new containers. But as far as spilling here and fires here, we're containing all the water. So the water's within the bladder itself. So nothing's going to escape to the river, to the ground. It's getting backed out afterwards. And then testing would have to ensue after that. And you'll see that in the DEP comment.
Here's a question, Hannah. So it seems that the gases may deposit some pollutants in the waterway. Is that something we can say something about, or is it because it's not running through water?
I think that would be a good question for the peer reviewer.
Okay.
I could definitely.
Because it does seem like even if the water doesn't spill, there is still localized pollution due to the gas, especially depending on what the batteries are made of. What are the batteries made of?
So lithium iron phosphate chemistry.
Okay.
TMDL and Charles phosphorus.
It's the chemistry of the battery itself, the battery cell. It's not necessarily possible. So it's at the container itself.
Thank you. It would be nice if it wasn't phosphorus.
It's the most stable battery out there.
That's good.
I would be curious to know what is released when it catches on fire.
It's, yep, I can provide you with the technical document, that we supplied to the planning board.
Yeah.
It's a good long read, but yes, 100%, I can give it to you.
I
Yes,
can do
I
a
have that
bedtime
information
reading.
at my fingertips, so certainly happy to share it.
Not a question, but is there a way that we could get the, not this plan, but there was a PowerPoint with some specific information that they highlighted previous to this slide? Is everything on the website, the Town of Bellingham website?
So the document maybe that you're speaking to is the secondary containment document, that was highlighted with like the only thing that I remember being highlighted was the $7 million insurance policy piece maybe. That document is included in the technical documents, which I will issue you guys, that technical doc as well, and that would be provided to the commission. Right now, the planning board does have that. I don't know if they post stuff online,
I've never seen.
but it should be online.
Um,
It's a 300-page document probably in the planning board.
So it sounds like the planning board has a lot of the documents that you'd be looking for. So I'm going to entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for this NOI at 26 Pearl Street to August 12th, 2026 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
August.
Discussion?
No, did we want to try and do a sidewalk? Is there a best time to do it?
And you can probably help coordinate that, right? Sidewalk.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I don't know if that would be easier to just coordinate via email. I don't know if that.
Yeah, if you guys need me there, I'm happy to be there to show you kind of where everything's at, coordinate you on site, at least orientate yourself on site. It's town of Atlanta, so you guys are.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the site, but when I walked it, and I've been there twice, is just seeing exactly where.
I'd be
your
happy
work is
to
gonna
show
be
you.
going. So I think having you guys there, having it marked out, so we can understand, where these containment structures gonna be, et
Yeah,
cetera.
It's
That would
very
be
easy
really
to see
helpful.
once you're standing there on site where this is gonna actually sit, because there's like a 2-foot knee wall foundation
Yeah.
that is
deeper
all
in
to
a
the
little bit.
west.
Yep.
So it's everything lower to the right, but happy to be there.
Yeah. Great.
Pam. Hi. Nicole.
Aye.
James recused and.
Okay.
And so,
All right.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll be in touch. Blackstone. All right.
Right, now I'll entertain a motion to open the continued public hearing for the Blackstone Street notice of intent for alteration of DVW and its associated 100-foot buffer zone. Improvements for undeveloped stretch of Blackstone Street, including infrastructure, utilities, and site grading at Blackstone Street. Applicant is Rosie Wall Street Development, representing himself.
So moved. Thank you. If you could, excuse me, if you could take the conversation outside,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, go ahead. Is this really required?
I mean, it's seems like a procedure, but
Flip and Ann never did it.
you can make.
Did Flip and Ann vote to open meetings?
Excuse me? Yeah.
What if?
I never listened to them.
Oh my God.
That's why they're gone.
All right, well,
I think it's a lot easier. Nobody wants to.
Nicole.
Aye.
Aye.
James.
Aye.
We ever vote to open.
Well, no, we never do.
Kind of wanted to.
Whichever.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Might help.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just open the hearing
not much.
for the discussion.
Hey.
All right, any updates from Lou?
How we doing, Lynn?
Hello.
Hey.
They
You
won't-
finally come to a meeting.
I know.
What the hell, what's wrong? Fabulous, I'm happy
You
again.
can't complain when I'm here, else I won't come back.
No, you got, you come to every meeting, I'm happy to see everybody. I don't have any updates, I mean, I think we
Pretty much right.
kind of ran the gamut at the last meeting and we kept it open so the commission could discuss certain conditions if I wanted to comment on any conditions of keep the meeting open. But, so, I don't know if Hannah prepared, did you prepare a draft,
I
something?
started something and I mostly wanted to see like, you know, because this is a larger project and is near, you know, some sensitive areas and we talked about stuff like signage or the
Phasing.
peer restriction, yeah, phasing stuff like that. That it would be good to get that kind of figured out before writing
Yeah,
the.
the only thing I can think of that you haven't talked about is really a construction sequence, so. We're happy to provide one as a condition prior to starting construction. But other than that, I think,
And the timing of when that would take,
yeah, well, obviously we want to do it during
right.
dry season, so. This is not something that we would take, while the thing is overflowing,
You're
so.
not gonna do it in April during a rainstorm?
No, I don't think so, but, so that's the only thing I can think of as far as a construction sequence. As a condition prior to starting construction and, I don't know what signage, you're thinking about, but really, it's a no through way. We're not looking for people to travel down this roadway.
Just in terms of like, we had talked about, potentially Goddard had mentioned, signage for like vernal pool, migrating areas, stuff like that.
Yeah.
For snow signage,
Yeah, those things.
stuff like, what else, like, you know,
Yeah.
the 25-foot no disturb zone signage near the basins, like making sure that's erected.
And along any properties, no, we're just talking specifically today about the road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so just, that kind of signage.
Stuff like that, yeah, something I had noted, like.
The only other thing was that, you're not approving any buildings on any
No.
lots, so any lots that are subject to your jurisdiction would be filed separately.
Yeah.
You stand typical conditions,
Mhm.
but the construction sequence has not been discussed, so I think that would probably be in order for you to include as a condition.
I do think we discussed it towards the beginning, but I agree that
Yeah.
having it as a condition would be.
Yeah, and just, I mean, because on the plan currently, the construction schedule has spring or fall during low flow. But, you know, obviously wouldn't want it to be in the spring.
Like May, I'd say from May to October. Or some November,
Mhm.
that's generally when it would be drier. And then obviously we have a pre-construction meeting, Anna loves those.
I do.
Especially when, I'm involved. So we have a pre-construction meeting, talk about the construction sequencing. And but I think the time period from during when this work would take place is really the most important aspect of this.
And I think some of the kind of concern about that is just like if, you know, making sure there's measures in place in case things are happening outside of that situation. So like if there's a delay and there's still erosion controls up, we want to make sure that there's, you know, like walkover structures in the spring or something, you know, it's not a tightened up, buttoned up site within
Yeah,
the
well,
one season.
it would, I would hope that, I don't think we'd attempt to do it this year, but I would hope that it would be a one season to do this work plan so that we wouldn't have this situation that Ken is describing, that we'd have emergencies that would have to take place. So I think it's really those two things, the time of the year and the construction sequence, those are probably the most important aspects of this project that we need to have in place prior to starting construction.
Did you guys have any thoughts on specific signage you would like all of the above, the no
So I think
salt?
identifying, vernal pool,
Mhm.
right, for anyone that's traveling down from either direction, just to educate them on what it is. You know, not that it would be anything that we can control, but, garbage being thrown out of vehicles. So maybe if they know it's a vernal pool, or
Yeah,
wetlands on the other side.
Goddard Consulting had suggested seasonal amphibian crossing signage.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
never
that's another
been
thing that
to-
usually,
Well, before the tunnel,
yeah,
but so
Yeah, I mean, like just
Yeah.
in the crossing.
you may have some critters that want to wander or stay outside the bay.
Go
I
that
don't know.
way.
Maybe we can educate them and have more focused in on just that. I want to see you out there trying to talk to a turtle. Use the tunnel I built. I did have a question about the bonding amount.
Yeah.
On the calculation. So, just out of curiosity, what, like, and the range that I've seen has always been, maybe not for this town, but others, has been over $10 a square foot for it. But I see here you have a dollar per square foot.
What kind of bonding are you suggesting?
Just for the replication area.
Yeah, it's a small, right, it's not big dollars, but I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
I don't want to set a precedent.
$1,000, I don't, we can arrange for a bond figure that's.
Yeah,
My replication areas don't require bond because they always function properly at the end. I'm a
You get all your
good,
money back. That's
I'm a
good.
good replication area instructor.
So-
can you provide us with some evidence of that?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't need it, I'm just.
We just do like $10 per square foot figure.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
replication
kind of what
bonding.
I'm more familiar with, and it's not gonna be big dollars anyway, but
Yeah,
I
I couldn't
just-
figure out how.
yeah, I didn't wanna have
calculated
set a precedent and have it-
but
we should.
Well, let's do, how many, it's 10,000, I mean, it's 2,000 square feet, right? So it's $10 times 2,000, 20,000.
Is that what it is?
That's a lot of money. I would
Because
say,
your replication areas always work, you'll get it back.
excuse me?
Your replication areas always work, you'll get it back.
No, I know, but it's just a question of going through the process of, $20,000 bond for application.
Which I think is why, because I saw anything from 1, 2,
It should be around,
so it was really, I was like, I'm.
About five.
it's usually around
Five.
$5,000, something like that. Street opening type of bond.
Okay,
So like, it would be like around 10,000.
Let's say 10,000.
So five per square foot, right?
That would be, it's like, 2,000.
It's big much.
no, I was thinking 100. I was thinking of 100.
It's all plants and soil, I mean, it's not really.
But, I think that was,
Oh, and then just. Beals and Thomas had mentioned like independent monitoring. I know we
Yeah.
always have like the SWIP reports that we get those, but having, monitoring of the
Does
replication
this
area.
require a SWIP? I don't think this project requires a SWIP report. Does it?
It's over. It's over an acre.
An acre of what? Your jurisdiction is not over an acre.
Right, but of soil disturbance. Just in
Yeah,
general.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can get a SWIP. I think that was in some of the documents.
Okay, I'll check it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
it was in the
have-
stormwater, it was in the stormwater?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah, but I mean, we always have that condition that
Yeah.
says, if you have SWIP monitoring reports, send those our way. And if we want other monitoring of, construction activities like in that area right next.
during the period when working
Yes,
ongoing.
Yes,
Not
yeah.
during the whole year.
right, yes, during
It-
the ongoing work.
that's not
period.
done in perpetuity.
I
So,
Have somebody just.
want to
look
be
at
qualified as a SWIP inspector.
the question about thinking about the future, right? Homeowners association, should anything like that happen or the properties get sold, because eventually you're gonna want to sell them. How do we ensure that whatever, I guess, requirements we want to put in place will carry on through, sales or a homeowners association? something along that line. Is that put into like an order of conditions?
Yeah, I
Because-
mean, I think that could be, because I know obviously that like, if an order is,
Typically, we do the basin, we'll have a
Yeah.
homeowners association to maintain the basins, stormwater basins.
And
But they're really-
signage?
And signage, but if the replication after 2 years is taken, then there really isn't much to
Yeah.
maintain there. other
it's
than-
more just, yeah, basic.
Yeah, I was thinking
signage.
basin signage and,
Oh, the wildlife fencing,
yep,
that
yeah,
whole
because that's the stuff that we
deal
were
and making sure
into
that that,
with other
working.
developers, later on, and so everyone's like, well, who's that? And
Well, the fencing actually technically is gonna be on the town side of the.
it's
Town,
on, I mean, it's on both sides.
but most of it's gonna be on the vernal pool side, which is on the town's property.
On town property,
Not on town property, but on the town side of the roadway.
right, but it's
So-
still on the owner's property,
It's on the roadway,
right?
yeah.
You wouldn't be able to.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
but the
we'll
town-
work together on it. It is probably the town's, on the town
well,
side.
usually I know the stuff I was part of it, the town doesn't maintain that kind of stuff. That's the homeowner.
Town doesn't maintain anything.
Oh, no.
So,
All right, well,
they're gonna add some wildlife fencing on top of that, you think that's?
we'll maintain this.
That was it for me.
Any other questions or recommendations from members of the board, that will follow them? James?
Nothing additional. I think the points that everyone brought up were kind of what I was thinking after reading Hannah's notes page. So I agree with the bondage amount. The signage, it sounds like we have a general idea of what we want, but maybe not specifics. And I guess I would prefer to see a sequencing, at least for a time of year, before we issue an order of conditions. I wouldn't want that just as a condition of starting construction. I'd rather have that as part of the order.
Yeah, the time of the year you're talking, James, right?
Yeah, not the actual like sequencing of construction, I guess, because that could change depending on when you actually start and what part of that season. But I guess if you could just clarify, Lou, exactly when you are proposing to do this work and what sort of conditions, so that we can, I guess, write that condition pretty plainly and just make sure that it's clear.
Yeah, I'm thinking May 30, like May 31st to like, that's when really I think the water's down, maybe even June 1st, June 30th. Wait, have you guys, I've seen the water, like, we want the water level to be down to do this work. Because it's not so much the culvert, it's the walls that we would need to work. So we'd be able to work on one side, the southerly side, because there's nothing on that side, but on the vernal pool side, that's gonna be something that shouldn't happen. I'd say it should happen around this time of the year, July, August, September.
Yeah, August, September.
And hopefully that's enough. And then obviously if we have an unusually dry summer like we have this year, we come to the commission and ask for permission to either start sooner or go later. That's the commission's discretion at that point. Just to have that kind of flexibility going forward. But I'm concerned about what the level is of the water of the pond, on the pond side. That has to be typically around this time of the year. I think if you go out there now, it's dry. Right?
Pretty low, I would think.
I'll go out there tomorrow and find out. I'll let Hannah know, but I'm out there every day, but I haven't walked down there. But last year around this time it was dry.
Yeah, and I would have expected it to, but we did get some heavy rain, so
Yeah,
it
so
rained a little, but.
If it's dry,
Yep.
then as soon as it's dry, we should be able to go in there and do the work. And then so I'd ask permission from the commission to start earlier than those dates if it is dry.
And then I think that reminded me of something I had a question about related to the timing with in the construction sequencing plan for the replication area, it said spring or fall.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was saying, oh, that it'll happen before the work starts, but I didn't know if that would change based on the seasonal time.
Yeah, I
The
don't-
replication needs to be done in fall.
I would say that's an interesting
Unless it's
question.
starting-
That's an interesting question, because we want to do the work when it's dry.
Right, but you might.
Well, but the replication area technically could be done anytime, because it's on the downside, on the downward side of the work.
The only thing with that is like if you're trying to keep any of the plants or any of the soil or stuff, then
I'll have to ask God what they think, but I would say it's like a contradiction here, because the work we need to do when it's dry, the replication area we need to do when it's wet.
Yeah, probably in the fall.
Yeah, so I'd say usually it'll be in the fall, but I don't think we would have a problem with going in there afterwards and replanting it. It's pretty easy.
So is the issue that the plan restricts those two things happening in consecutive order?
well, the construction sequencing plan or replication area construction plan that they have right now says, oh, we're gonna make sure we do it first. But if they're trying to start at a certain time to avoid things drying, like, I don't know if they would want to start that first and then do the replication area, but if they're trying to take hydric soils from there or any of the native plants from there and then use them in the replication area, like storing that stuff can be not great, especially if you're not just doing it immediately. So it might just be like,
So I think in the construction sequence, we'll just have to say subject to weather conditions, subject to, time of year. So
yeah,
if I were to play this out,
It can be that.
if I were to play this out, we would go and we would start the work when it's dry, cut the trees and everything when it's dry, like now. But we wouldn't do the replication area until after
Yeah.
the fall,
Yeah.
late fall or October. But by then we already have.
Yeah, and if you're delayed, then you wait till spring.
Right, and then we wait till
Right.
spring to do the plantings. So you work it.
well, I think that would be Goddard.
Yeah, no, we'll have to amend the.
I don't know, James, if that's something they could put together before the next meeting and then just plan to be done then, just to have that information.
I'll ask them to think about it. How they would think that it would be best to work it out. To
Well, I
me,
think they're gonna have.
usually we would do replication either spring or fall.
Right, this is just like a more complicated
Yeah.
scenario, so like getting that kind of down while we're talking about it might be easier than doing that and then trying to amend it or like having a bunch of conversations in between,
Okay.
just like logistics.
I'm sure they could think through it and in an hour they'd have something written up.
Yes.
Just make sure that they write it up and put it on the plan so that we have like that updated plan that will go with our order.
You want the construction sequence then on the plan?
Yeah.
Is it on there now?
Well, it's the one.
Oh,
that-
yes.
It's very brief, but yes.
Okay, so we'll just have to give you another sheet of the plan or whatever.
So I guess we're gonna have to continue. I thought we were gonna vote today.
Well, it's spectacular.
I mean, that was like,
Close.
it was good, very good progress and that kind of.
Well, listen, we're not gonna do the work this year. We pretty much established that, so we're really planning, if the commission approves the project, we're really planning for next year, basically. So I have no problems in continuing if that's what you want, or.
You think they'll have that ready by the next meeting?
Or do you want us to give you a month?
I'd want someone else.
Yeah, I mean, we
That's up
could
to you.
just, I mean. 'cause
We just put a
the
continuous
next one-
for 2 weeks, and then if I have it,
Right.
fine, if I don't have it, we can give it for another 2, whatever,
I'm just, the next meeting is probably gonna be
the contentious one.
just a
No,
long
it's not
one.
very very long.
Some people from Red Mill, Red Mill, no, they're like this.
So it might just be easier, and then,
Whatever.
would that be all right, we just put it to August,
Yeah,
and then,
that's
all
right.
right.
That's fine. I need a day off.
That'll be
I
good.
haven't even had breakfast yet.
We're gonna go next year. Oh, that's okay.
Any other comments or questions from the commission? I move to continue. Any comments or questions from the public? Don't all speak up.
Yeah, you what? Let the chairman, how are you? Good.
I'm going to continue to August.
August 8th, right?
Well,
I'll second that.
Yeah,
I,
All right, thank you very much.
Ron,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
All right.
and I.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lou.
See ya.
All right.
You know, you're welcome to come, Lou, even though you're not presenting.
I may. I watched these on TV.
Are we continuing these new hearings or?
No, these are, the new ones were actually.
Okay, are we presenting these new hearings? Oh,
Good, yeah.
yeah, I do.
we can definitely do that. Okay, I'm done with voting about these, so.
Oh, and they, right, just, they did request a continuation also just to the amendment request one because we have a bunch of missing members, so to avoid some issues with the form stuff. We're just requesting as well, so you can add that to the continuation.
So
When's the next meeting? July 22nd.
I'm going to open several hearings where the applicant is Old Northeast B Corp. And the representative is Brian Mann from LET Environmental. Construction of single-family homes within the buffer zones, BVW, etc. Red Mill on Charles, the plot 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, C2, C3, C4. It's cut off.
That's it.
That's it, those are
Right,
all.
and C4.
All right, okay to share my screen?
Took me a while earlier.
For the record, Brian Madden from LEC Environmental Consultants.
Edward Finn, Plan Development Director with Hill Brothers.
And Liz Clark, civil engineer with Ty and Bond.
So we have 9 new notices. This is the last batch of new notices. I'll go
Is that
through
a
the
promise?
Nowhere else. I'll go through them individually, but kind of a similar continuation from the past hearings. Just to give you a quick update, we are very close to wrapping up the peer review with the planning board and overall stormwater management. There's a planning board coming up later this month on the 23rd.
Yeah.
So there's been some back and forth. I think the list is pretty short at this point.
One of the topics that we brought up each time is ownership of the wall.
Yeah, I know we kind of verbalized a little bit of that at the last meeting, but we're going to put it in writing and submit it in advance of the July 22nd meeting. And providing additional information that we've talked to date on what's outstanding. But specifically for, let's see. This lot, so starting at 90, we left off on 89. This is in the easterly, northeasterly part of the subdivision, single family dwelling lot. If you remember here, there's a bordering vegetated wetland system to the east associated with an intermittent stream that flows through the easterly portion of the site, south-north. So lot 90 is within the 100-foot buffer zone partially. The green area is the 50 to 100-foot, and a small portion between the 25 to 50-foot. That's about 133 square feet. Portion of the dwelling is located within the outer 100-foot buffer zone, as well as the outdoor living use area. Again, those areas are to be comprised of decks, patios, or other landscaping features. And any deck and or stairs would need to comply with zoning setbacks as well. very similar concept, based on the other lots that we've all reviewed to date. I'll just stop here if there's any questions.
So I have just a general question.
Yeah.
Do you know how many lots that we've looked at that say are greater than 25% of the structure of the property is within 100 feet? Because it seems like there's not a lot, but there's more than I expected. You know what that number is? I mean, I know I said 25%, but you know my gut, what I'm looking for generally is like a significant.
Yeah, we could run some numbers. I don't know.
I don't know that number.
Yeah, I don't wanna.
Because I know when we go
Yeah.
through it finally, I'll be looking, you know, those are the ones that will probably be of most interest. to
Yeah,
us, right?
exactly. But we can get you that information. Again, this one's similar in nature. Just continuing to the south, same situation, smaller lot. With a little bit more work in the 25 to 50 feet, being 831 square feet, more of the lot itself in the 100 foot. And obviously corresponding increases in impervious area within the primarily within the 50 and 100, but there is a little bit in the 25 to 50 being 58 square feet.
58 looks,
This number right here.
oh, right there, yeah.
Yeah.
How high is the wall there? Am I looking at that correctly?
No wall on this one.
Okay, all right, so that's not a wall behind it. All right.
No, we will be hitting a wall at a couple lots on 93. Moving further to the south.
There it is, yeah.
We start to get the lot on 93 in the next plan, but very similar in nature to the lot 91. Only 3 square feet within the potential outdoor living use, and again, this is max worst case scenario, 3 square feet. You can see that little intrusion in that northeasterly corner. Majority of the lot is within the 100 foot. And then just continuing to the south, I will say that, we've incorporated now in these more recent submissions is including the open space markers on the back portions of the lots at the midpoints and corners. We have details of that per the original order of conditions. So moving to 93, this is where a new retaining wall was established on the back portion of the lot, extending off-site onto the open space parcel and along the roadway where there'll be an easement. And again, we owe you information on that front. This portion, the purple portion, and there's a kind of an overlap in the 100 foot to the BVW. The purple area is the 100 foot buffer zone to a vernal pool located to the south. That we are located greater than 50 feet away from that vernal pool, but there is some work within the 50 to 100 foot buffer zone. We've provided that information, and the impervious areas broken out separately between what's in the BVW buffer zone versus the vernal pool buffer zone. But we have that retaining wall. We've added top of wall and bottom of wall at various points onto these plans, which were always included in the subdivision set, but just to give you a little bit more scale. A lot.
Why is that wall?
I'll zoom in, but
Well, no, I'm just, because you got the vernal pool over here, you got the wetlands there.
yeah, on the east side, it's 8.5. And then we're getting down to, hold on, I got some. Always gets in the way. Yeah, so along the south side, variable between 8.7, 9.6 to 12.0, closer towards the corner of the southwesterly corner, closer to the roadway.
Brian, on that note of the height of the walls, where are those no disturb signs that I saw the detail on the further part of the sheet there? Where are those no disturb signs being placed? Above the wall on the private property here, or below the wall where it won't be seen?
Because they do follow the open space, it will fall on the back side of the walls, but I will say here, and this is another bit of information that we collectively owe you, there's gonna be a 4 foot high black vinyl fence along the top of the walls that's required per code. But it's also kind of a decorative fence, but it will be a good delineator for an encroachment or obviously for safety purposes as well.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's good to know. Thank you.
So you guys have already gotten the waiver for our bylaw for the 100 foot of vernal pool, and you're just marking.
That's like a Lou thing, like he likes to ask for waivers, other people just present their projects.
Oh, but
But I do this.
no, yeah, but like, is that thing that has been part of the stuff that's already been asked, or are we being asked this now? Do you know what I mean? Okay, that's what.
Yeah, it's already been approved, but more specifically because we're not working in the 50-foot buffer zone of the vernal pool, it doesn't require a waiver.
Yeah,
Verbatim.
50 foot, no disturb to the vernal pool.
Okay,
I mean, it is like within 100 feet, you're still regulating, but it's normally 25 foot no disturb, but it's a 50 foot.
okay, so also the language was you may require 50
Yeah.
feet.
And
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have, like, is this one of the lots that needed a little bit of extra clearing, or this one wasn't?
No, I think initially there may have been like a foot or two difference, but we did shore this up so it's right on what was approved. There's no,
But the wall is.
the wall is new, just to contain those grades, because if you recall, and Liz can speak to this better than I can, the original regrading was not necessarily reflective of actual construction capabilities. Now that we have structures and know what they look like and the roadways are finalized, this is the final realistic grading limits, and it was abundantly clear on these lots that a retaining wall warranted that.
You said it. Yeah, we did that.
Yeah, to your question about the squiggly lines, yes, that is kind of the redirection of water that will continue on along the fence. And then there's like an outlet point. All right, so these three lot are 90 through 93 all have DEP file numbers. I'm going to move down to 94, 95, which are south of the vernal pool. Those are local filings because there's only work within the 100-foot buffer zone to the vernal pool. There's no state jurisdiction or state buffer zones. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. But so this is 94. This is the south of the vernal pool, which you can kind of see right here in the upper quadrant. But again, work outside the 50-foot buffer zone. The 50-foot kind of matches up more closely with the lot limits and the limit of work. So the open space boundaries are more coincident. But we do have that retaining wall extending, running parallel to the roadway and then coming onto the lot on the north side and then kind of wrapping around. Where again, the retaining wall, there will be a fence, a 4-foot fence at the top of the wall. And again, this is only work within the 100-foot buffer zone, 50 to 100 foot for the local bylaw. The vertical.
So when, like, if they walk out in their basement, there's gonna be a tall wall and then the fence on top of the wall?
Oh, well, this is the wall that descends down, so there'll be a fence right at the top of the wall, so that, and on this lot, it's,
They're on the high side of the wall.
yeah.
So the fence is there to prevent fall hazards.
Oh, okay, all right. I was picturing the exact opposite. They just walked
Yeah.
out and everyone.
Yeah,
It's not for people that don't like to go outside.
Yeah, but some of them are like, you got an 8-foot wall.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
you
why you
can-
need, you
Yeah.
gotta have some fencing on.
you can see here the wall is a little bit taller.
4 foot a dog condition.
Not mine.
Oh, really?
Mine are like.
Oh, yeah, you're a little guy. No, I think my girl could be.
And Brian, just to confirm, for a site like this specifically, where it's a pretty tight backyard, and is the wall itself is at grade, and then you said the fence is 4 feet tall.
Yeah, the fence would be on the lot interior of the wall.
Okay. So I guess my concern is that's a pretty short fence for someone to throw some grass clippings over a retaining wall that's 20 feet in the air that nobody will notice what's behind it. How are we demarcating like no dumping out here? Because it seems like those open space markers are behind that 20-foot wall.
Yeah.
Good point, James, doesn't.
Yeah, if we want to put some signage on the fence to notate that, I think we're fine with doing that.
Did you?
Yeah, and I think it can be site specific too. Like I don't want to turn this into some mess where everyone has a fence with some sign on it if it's not necessary. But I'm just imagining someone who doesn't know back here, which we see homeowners all the time. They don't know what's behind their property and they just go dump clippings or brush or whatever, and it's in a vernal pool or in the buffer zone to the vernal pool or in a wetland. So
Yeah, 93 also, right? Because that was a similar condition.
This
Yeah.
might sound like stupid or something, but is it possible to give people literature when they move into the properties that have restrictions? Like, I mean,
So we 100% do that. as
okay,
part
I was
of
gonna
our-
say it's part of the.
They're gonna be
state
part of the
sort
homeowners association, and part of the documentation that they get is all the HOA guidelines,
Okay.
which will include, you are going to be abutting a wetland, these are the things that you got.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because that might help people, like to hear people because they've been informed.
See, no question is stupid.
I don't know. I'm always
It-
hesitant.
I mean, the order of conditions in COC is ultimately also tied to the property. So, if when someone purchases any property that has had a permit or a violation in the past, it's all in the record of the property. So, usually in Massachusetts, it's, person buying a property has to do their due diligence, but I assume, properties like this that are selling first time, homes that are being first built, that I assume the contractor that's building or the ultimate company in charge of that HOA is explaining and showing the order of conditions as part of that sale, just to kind of cover
I don't
everyone's
know,
bases.
James. I think you're making a big assumption.
No, actually, you're correct. So we do this.
No, I know, but I know that being a homeowner, when you get that stack of paper,
Whether
what
they
you're
read it or
focused mostly on is how am I gonna make this payment? What do I need to see?
Yeah, right, yeah.
And the restrictions, they go in one ear and out the other. So having signage up to reinforce, I think, is really valuable.
Yeah, and to James, your question, I think with the HOA responsibilities for the wall monitoring and maintenance, that may involve like an annual site inspection where something like an encroachment could be easily observed and reported and dealt with on a pretty quick basis.
Yeah, and I think that's all fine. I'm just thinking, just in recent past, we've had site visits where we've gone and have seen, maybe not even a project that we're looking at, but a neighbor. We notice, oh, there's like, 40 clumps of grass clippings from God knows how many years that are just in a wetland. And not that this is really, the wetland, it is just a buffer zone, but it's still protected open space in the end. So like I would try to limit that as best we can with physical barrier.
For better or worse, there's not a ton of lawn out here too. Some of these lawns. Moving down to the south, this is the last single family lot. A continuation of the buffer zone to the vernal pool. With the wall terminating, kind of dissipating, basically at the southerly terminus of the structure. Or coincident to it. So we did see an opportunity based on some of the past discussions on this lot to provide some revegetation within this 100-foot buffer zone of the vernal pool. I'll zoom in a little bit because it may be hard to see some of the cross hatching, but so this area would all be revegetated and left alone. We are proposing to plant it up with arrowwood and sweet pepper bush. I think those were some of the species that we talked about previously in some of these areas. But that will kind of run and abut the retaining wall running parallel to the roadway. It's mainly off lot. So if we have any questions on the single family lots, I can turn it over to the 3 townhome lots where there's some minimal to variable work and jurisdiction and buffer. All good? Yep, thanks. So moving down to lot C2, this is a long rectangular type lot within the southeastern portion of the subject parcel. So there's 2 ends of this lot where work occurs within jurisdiction. You can see these 2 areas highlighted in varying shades of green. With the west side, the darker green being some minimal intrusion into the riverfront area, the outer 200-foot riverfront area to that centrally located perennial stream, unnamed perennial stream that flows south-north through the middle part of the site. I'll zoom in quickly and, some pretty minimal intrusion. A small portion of the structures just clips the outer portion. But it's mainly regrading along that edge. And let's see, the proposed riverfront area alteration is about 2,400 square feet and only 64 square feet of structure in that outer 200 foot. As we talked about,
in just a moment, can you, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Yeah, go back, keep sliding right. I just want to see,
right.
And if you can, no, you were there. I just want to see the riverfront area. If you can blow that up a little bit.
Yep, and I can switch to another plan that shows this in a little bit larger context.
Okay, yeah, like I wanted to see where it basically, where the river or stream actually is, so visualize what's changing.
Yep.
Well, it's 200 feet away.
Yeah, so this is lot C2. The structure is over in this
right there,
location.
okay.
Here's the wetland system
Yep.
with the perennial stream.
Okay.
So
that answers me.
the majority of
Yep.
the riverfront areas within the open space.
But you're not affecting the bank in any way. You're still well away from it. Yeah.
All right. So that's the western portion. The easterly portion minimally extends into the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW associated with that intermittent stream. I'll just slide over to the larger plan set to so you can visualize that. So here's the easterly portion of C2. Here's the intermittent stream BVW wetland system. And I think, what was that? 5 square feet of structure in the outer 100 foot, mainly just regrading.
And then you have a culvert, it looks like, that goes under the road.
We'll get there. Are you talking about the second wetland crossing?
Yeah, when you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll address that later.
Yep. And just of note here, so there is a vernal pool further to the south. I'll just zoom over. This guy is a vernal pool right here. There's also a vernal pool within this larger ILSF system that for the smaller little vernal pool, we are staying outside the 100-foot buffer zone to that vernal pool. You can see it outlined here, and then there's a wall located up gradient of that retaining wall. And with
It's gonna go
some,
right up to the house.
it'll go right up to the edge of the outdoor living area. Yep. So presumably that would be,
The reality is we wouldn't fully built out that outdoor living area, right? There'd be a deck that comes off the house, but we wouldn't extend all the way to the end of that.
yeah, there'd be a passable area above the wall. But again, that's mimicking the prior approval, the original approval for limit of work, no changes here. I think this wall may be new, right?
Again, resulting of the same level of detail that we're now providing, once you add in the homes, given that the previously approved plans, it just showed like a graded pad, didn't have our homes with the detailed level of grading that we're providing now. So some new walls were added.
Yeah, we did to some of the points to date, establish the open space markers along some of the staggered midpoints. Certainly if the commission wants some adjustment on some of these townhome lots, we can certainly do that. But again, the area behind those retaining walls would kind of be left alone to naturalize.
As far as the
This-
maintenance of this kind of these C lots, the townhome lots, is it individual unit owners that are going to be maintaining, I guess, their half of, their side of things, or is this going to be managed by the HOA?
There are two homeowners associations for the project. One would be for just these townhome lots. And then there would be an overall HOA that oversees all of the lots, including the townhome lots. So all of the townhome owners communally own and maintain these lots.
Okay, so it'd probably be contracted through a landscaping service, I would assume.
I believe so, but you remember, or did we split these off? Okay, I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand responsibility out here, right? So the single family lots are obviously well prescribed of who's responsible for, maintaining their lot, obviously, but these are, I assume it's going to be an HOA type structure, and even if that means we're permitting these townhome owners to do their own maintenance, I guess we want to know who, if there is some sort of violation, who we direct that to.
I know we've spoken about it and come up with an answer, but I don't want to misspeak here, so we'll get back to you on the answer.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, yeah, we'll formalize that into the written narrative that we've talked about.
Guess I'm a little curious why you didn't propose going to the 100-foot vernal pool buffer on these lots and instead have that retaining wall going like up to the property.
Here we were just trying to match the original approval. I think there may have been some give and take in some of the intrusions into the 100-foot to the vernal pools across the site. And this was an area that was flagged that could be avoided, and we were respecting that.
Does this one have the 100-foot like mass CP buffer or?
No, no. One of the switch over to this plan. So this is a vernal pool that's pretty far away. The more classic characteristic vernal pool. This boundary was established as ILSF. So the vernal pool habitat limits extend to 100 feet within the ILSF. It doesn't extend beyond the ILSF. But this standalone isolated area, which does function as a vernal pool, doesn't have any additional state buffers to it. It was too small to function and qualify as ILSF at the state level. All right, well, I'll move on to the next And just for orientation purposes, I'm just gonna. So here's the second stream crossing. This is an intermittent stream crossing where we have two townhome lots within jurisdiction, again, to the 100-foot buffer zone of BVW associated with the intermittent stream running through the easterly portion of the lot. So it's lots C3 and C4, and I'll switch over to the plans for those. So this is the first one, C3 to the north. So you're coming down the roadway post crossing. It's on your right, the west side, where we have two townhome buildings located within the 100-foot buffer zone to the BVW. And we provided the breakdown for the impervious within 50 to 100 and the 25 to 100. I think that should be 25 to 50 probably. Is 236 square feet. And again, this was a lot based on some of the prior discussions that we acknowledged that there was an area we could revegetate once we completed the regrading. This stippled area up in the northerly portion of the lot, overlapping within the 25 to 50 foot, will also be replanted with what we spec'd out, and what we talked about to date was arrowwood and sweet pepper bush. And just highlighting that 50-foot buffer zone restoration.
And just to confirm, because we don't have that. Right.
Well, we don't have a planting plan for it. We just narratively told you what shrubs. If the commission would like to see, pounce on shrubs, we could give a little bit more detail on sizing.
I think that would be helpful, especially because we talked about before, like some areas you were gonna just leave naturalized, some was gonna seed, some was gonna be shrubs or trees, and it kind of varied between.
Yeah, and we do, that is one of the items that we are working on from the community-wide, subdivision-wide revegetation effort that's largely off of the lots, but anything specific to the lots, we can certainly provide some additional detail there. And because we are going to incorporate some of that onto other lots that are being updated and will be submitted probably next week before the meeting on the 22nd. So lots C3 and C4 are separated by a drainage lot. Once you go down to lot C4, only a small portion of regrading extends onto the lot, and 537 max impervious between the 50 to 100 foot. And again, that's worst case max build out scenario for the outdoor living areas. But there is a small portion of the dwelling itself that's within the outer 100 foot.
So that one shows grading that goes beyond that green area.
Yep. So that's a kind of an extension of the drainage lot that does extend here. Let me get to the actual regrading so you can kind of see how that blends together. Just for perspective.
So those impacts would be carried in the overall. Yeah. Because we're just capturing what's on the townhome lot in this.
Yeah.
Filing.
But this was all approved previously.
I think this expansion, or there was some modifications to the basin in this location that is being as part of the peer review and included within the amendment request to the order. But you can basically see it's a continuation of the regrading from the drainage lot onto C3 for this structure. You can see the BVW here. Kind of jets on site and then goes off site and then pops it back out over. So we got a few additional items to provide additional detail on. Any further questions at this point?
Nicole, James?
No.
Great. Well, thank you all for the feedback and moving the ball forward here, and now we just gotta go back and get through the amendment request, give you some updates there, all the information we've talked about to date, and some updates on the individual outstanding notices. That basically included some of the revegetation areas that we talked about. And then some of the original early plans didn't have all the open space markers, which we're now adding. But I think once we get the overall revegetation exhibit to you and see how community-wide what we're revegetating, hopefully it provides a better perspective of everything. We would request a continuance to the 22nd.
Before we do that, just a question, you had sent a letter. There was in the
That
second.
one's related to the amendment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're
Okay,
just-
there you go. Never mind then. Yeah, we'll wait for that. Thanks. I just.
Yeah, we'll be ready to talk about it, yeah.
Okay.
I will entertain a motion to continue the hearings for lot 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, C2, C3, and C4 of Red Mill on the Charles to the evening of July 22nd, 2026 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion? All right, Pam? Aye. Nicole?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, where did you want?
All right.
You won't be the first.
Yeah, you sent them a request.
All of a sudden, what is it now?
Guys leave, we'll have to remote.
Been happening all day. No, we did.
Thanks so much, appreciate it.
You're welcome, thank you.
So for these next hearings for applicants, the custody, all of them, right? So you will do the amendment request separately because it's its own thing. Continuations to the next meeting. Yeah.
So we have to read.
Right, so. The applicant has requested a continuation for the order of conditions amendment request, Mechanic Street and Mill Street, Red Mill and the Charles. Amendment request for adjustments to roadway, stormwater management, infrastructure and site grading. The applicant is told Northeast B Corporation and Brian Madden, LEC Environmental is the consultant. I will entertain that motion to continue to the evening of July 22nd, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Seconded.
Discussion? No. Okay. Pam? Aye. Nicole?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
And I. And then the same applicant has requested a continuation of following hearings for Red Mill on the Charles, construction of single family homes within the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW, etc. Same applicant's representative, lots 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 67, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, and 82.
And I think the
I'll
one
make
at the
that.
very top.
I'll make that motion to continue those hearings to the evenings of July 22nd, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Second.
So moved.
So moved.
So move second.
Oh, wait, no, I
Nope.
moved it.
And my other personality do
Thank
the
you.
second.
Seconded. You seconded.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, discussion? No, Don?
Aye.
Yeah, aye. Nicole?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
And aye. Did I get them all?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't, I had my hand on what that very top one was, and I was afraid you missed one.
Nope, I did that one first.
Yeah, okay. I was like, oh, then I moved my hand. I went, oh.
Other
Very
business,
nice.
submittal policy.
Yeah, do we want to start with just signing the stuff that we need to sign?
Sure.
So my hand's all warmed up.
Very good, very good. So, this is just, I don't know if you had any issues, but I basically put everything from the vote and discussion on the denial for Lakeview Ave, 65 lot 17 into the draft order based on everything we talked about. So that I have
And
that for signatures.
In that, I was looking at it online, did you, it looks like you included the whole timeline, right?
Yeah.
That's.
And I have all the emails and I did include that in the portal and the link just like wasn't working.
Okay,
Because there were like 20 different emails that I
Okay.
couldn't link in because.
but
I
you do
realized-
have reference to it.
Yes,
It's
yep,
documented.
Yes.
Okay, good.
and I'll
good, good,
include
good.
that.
Yep, thank you for that. That's a lot.
You know, I thought that was great. What you were.
Yeah, it was
So it's
very
like,
well
I
organized.
don't, like, this is why.
So this is the 77 Bruce Road.
Oh, no, this is
No.
the,
Sorry, Lakeview Ave.
yes, yep, like,
Lakeview Ave, order of conditions denied.
that was voted on at the last hearing.
So we don't need to vote to sign it?
Nope, you just sign them, right?
I'm gonna have to borrow your borrowing.
Are you guys just gonna fold it up into a nice paper
Yeah.
airplane and throw it to me?
It's just anything.
Yeah,
How are you feeling, Jim?
all the way to Jim.
Oh, yeah, do we have enough people to sign it?
Yeah,
think so, yep.
Yeah, we're good. And if the signatures don't, like, yeah, as long as you have majority signatures, it also doesn't need to be the people who voted on it to sign it, like, the body already voted. And there was quorum then, so it doesn't matter whose signatures go on there.
I will say, so I voted, I accidentally signed something that I accused myself on.
Yeah.
And, I like decided to take that opportunity to reach out to, I like 3 legal consultants or whatever.
Yeah, the state ethics people or whatever.
Yeah. And asked them if like that was okay. And they kind of gave me a non-answer because they were like, well, you already did it. But I got the hint that like, no, it wasn't okay.
Well,
So
yeah,
I
I
was
did
like-
recuse that.
I was like, hey, Ann, can you print it out?
Yeah, and just redo it, yeah, that makes sense. Great, actually, I mean, with James on there, I don't know if he wants to talk about any of the policy stuff, and I guess I could just have you guys sign after.
Mhm.
He's on there, we can, yeah, have him leave after, so, yeah. if you
No, let's
wanna
make
talk-
James, who's feeling really bad, stay on.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look at the submittal policy. I updated it a little bit based on what we talked about at the last meeting. I don't know if you guys want more, if you had any comments or you want more time.
No, I read the tree policy.
Yeah.
No, it's in there, continuation and submittal policy, it's right for the tree one.
Oh, yeah, I think it's pretty thorough.
Yeah, I like it as well. We gotta vote to approve it.
So it would be, motion to approve the Bellingham Conservation Commission continuation and information submittal policy. And then I would say approved at the top, and then I would upload it to the.
So moved. James, any comments?
No, it looks like the stuff we talked about at the last hearing got thrown in there, and my biggest thing was the days versus business days
Yep.
thing. So I think we figured that out. It looks good.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the continuation and information submittal policy for the town of Bellingham Conservation Commission. Second. Discussion? Nicole?
Aye.
James?
I
Don?
I,
Pam? Aye. And me, aye. Yay.
and as you implement this, after 6 months or whatever, if you think there's opportunities to streamline it or make it better or more robust, don't hesitate.
Yeah, and Ariana and I have talked about stuff too, like, there's definitely other places where we can improve in general,
Yeah.
like.
Time.
Timeline, hearing, stuff like that, but it was like, we were like, okay, let's get this one.
Yeah, this is a step in the right
Right.
direction though.
And then like some of the other guidance docs you sent, we could definitely start implementing that stuff.
Good, good. Look at that, you provide guidance and everything.
Well, the town of Uxbridge has like a meeting policy, like a comprehensive policy, which had some of that stuff in it that has like, like you get half hour for a hearing, yeah, that's it.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, a new hearing gets a little more or something like that. So that's why after 45 minutes of that hearing, I was like, yeah.
I thought that was great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It
was very
Great
appropriate.
job at
Yep.
keeping things on point.
Yep.
And then on
That's the first thing.
removal.
I like the tree removal.
I was able to get some notes from Nicole about some of the like more technical stuff and like, yeah, they have to get an arborist, but if they want to avoid a hearing just to, take a couple limbs down, I feel like that's a better way to go about it. And
Yeah.
this way it's out, it's more in line. Some of the earlier proposals were a little bit less in line with our current regulations. Just because it was, we would have essentially been saying, taking one or two trees out isn't gonna alter a wetland. And I think James pointed out that there might be some issues from that. So we took it can't be in a wetland resource area, can't be in our 25-foot no disturb zone, like those areas, you still have to come to us for an RDA, but stuff outside of that would be where there's more flexibility because you guys have more flexibility in those areas.
Yeah, or I mean, I think we talked about this beforehand, but if it's in resource area or no disturb and it's an emergency,
Yeah.
if,
That's-
I think
Right.
we gave you the discretion that if you
Right.
truly believe it's an emergency, like very obviously, then we
Yeah.
cover that. They get the work done and we cover it as an emergency cert. So I don't think it's restricting anybody. I just think it's, documenting how we handle things in the future, I guess, appropriately and fairly for some homeowners, because some towns don't have something like this. They just make everyone do an NOI or an RDA. And, sometimes it's a little onerous.
Yep, and I think it also helps bring people into the process a little bit more, so if we are asking for things like just, keeping stumps or like, pruning only a certain amount, like stuff like that, if it's makes it less hard of a process, I feel like you're a little bit more likely to get more buy-in for some of that stuff, because I definitely have talk to people on the phone and they're like, all this, so I can like take down one tree that's like.
Well, you don't want to be burdensome
And
and that's so.
feel bad sometimes.
I was
Yeah.
looking at the application. I think the application is really good and straightforward. And I could tell you probably looked at the Newton one a little bit to get some of
Yes,
their guidelines.
heavily stole from other towns.
No, but this is easier because I filed permits with Newton before and it is not,
Well,
it's not easy. It
They
takes
have the
a while.
whole, they have the whole tree by.
Yeah, there's several
So we
different
don't-
parts and stuff, but I was just gonna point out that under the general work questions where it says, have you had a level 2 tree risk assessment? I know we talked about level 1 versus level 2. It says please attach certified arborist report. I think you should specifically label that it's called the basic tree risk assessment form via the ISA. Okay, so the ISA basic tree risk assessment form, so that way they can't have their own form that omits some of this important tree risk assessment information. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because there are like Bartlett and like certain companies have their own form
Mhm.
and they're all different. So I think by
The string.
highlighting that we need to have the ISA form, that's the standard one that if you are actually a tree risk assessed qualified arborist, that you are going to use that form. Those are the only people that are certified to use the form. So I
What
just
type of cost does that put upon the property owner to have something like that?
Depends. I mean, I charge $150 an hour, but not everybody does.
Well,
And I mean, if they don't want to do that, they
Yeah.
can go do an RDA and
Yep.
pay the $50 and.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, there's like alternative.
Right.
Our fees associated with
Yeah,
the hearing and getting the filing in and all that stuff.
yeah, it's just
It's
like,
like a shortcut.
Can we
Yeah.
add like scenarios that this is specific to? Because I'm still kind of hung up on the public shade tree definition under NEPA.
Yeah,
Which
so
is-
they just have to do a different process. That's just not our process. So if they're doing trees that are public shade trees, they have to go to the tree warden.
But if
It's just like
If
us
it's
saying in other cases, like through an RDA, if we say you can cut that tree. Sure, they might get the approval from us, but they still have to go to the tree warden to do the other tree removal.
So what if they don't know that it's public?
Does the tree warden have a similar application type thing?
No, we don't, that's the thing. I mean, we can say that. It's like with all the other permits in town, we can say, oh, you need to go get approval from this other person. And like, I could add something to the website, we could add something to the page, but like, that's not something we have the authority to enforce. Because it's under the.
Well, we could just say, because the NEPA regulation is construction, widening, or maintenance of a roadway or its right of way that will cut 5 or more living public shade trees of 14 or more inches in diameter and breast height. You need to file an ENF under NEPA. So if we allow for up to 5 trees to be cut, and those 5 trees are public shade trees, and like MassDOT comes in and wants to use a tree form, then
Well, that, yeah, but either way, like, they wouldn't be coming, like. Either way, we're not like the arbiters of that. Like, we could say you should do that, but us saying yes doesn't inhibit them from. Also needing to do the other stuff. It's like us giving a permit and saying, you need to talk to the planning board to get this, or you need to talk to the building department to get a building permit. We can't like enforce their.
no, but we can prevent ourselves from giving authority where it's not necessarily given to them. Because they would need to file for NEPA. So we're protecting ourselves by saying like, you can only do this if you're not working on a roadway, or you need to talk to the arborist and he will confirm whether those are public shade
Or do
trees.
you put a note?
Yeah, you could, we could definitely put a note,
Yeah.
say, talked before moving forward with any of this, talk to the
Yeah, for-
tree warden.
yeah.
But like, in other cases, if we're giving the okay through an RDA or through an NOI to cut trees, we're not saying, oh, you need to go file with NEPA.
Yeah, but that's like a consistent thing where like they never do. So like.
I think
no,
having a
we
note
we
is
definitely
helpful.
can add that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it's our process, like, no matter how we do it through, whether it's this or through an NOI or through an RDA, like, we can't force them to do that. We can definitely make them
Aware.
aware, for sure. But us, like, we can't say yes or no based on if they already got NEPA approval.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I just don't want this to be like, yep, you can cut those trees and
Yeah,
they didn't get NEPA.
I think it's education more than anything, because I think a lot of people, if they know what they need to do, then they tend to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And if they're not aware of it, then they think, all right, I just got approval from the Conservation Commission.
I like how you
I
have like
can
the,
do it.
the mapping guy, like all,
Yeah.
it's very, very well laid out. There's another comment I have on the, under the section D tree mitigation requirements.
Yeah, just Ariane, if you
Oh,
wanna
sorry.
like come up with some language that we can add to that as like a little asterisk or something at the top, we could definitely do that if that.
Sure. Can send it to you and you can send it around or something.
Well, yeah, we can move it. I don't think we're gonna approve this time because there's kind of a lot of moving parts.
I do like it.
I
it's
think
very well
that
laid
may
out.
be a non-issue with the MIPA problem, because I mean if they're doing work that's jurisdictional to us that involves the expansion of that road that then also hits that MIPA threshold, they're not really presenting to us a tree removal application. They're also doing a road expansion, which would then require an NOI. So they're not going to be doing this application. They're going to be submitting an NOI.
Maybe it could be like, oh, I'm working on some stuff outside of the buffer zone, but this tree that's inside the buffer zone is bothering me. Can I remove it?
I think that means they'd still be altering jurisdictional area as part of their project, which I think would then require them to file an NOI.
Maybe. I mean, maybe we would, isn't that what the tree policy's for? Like, give them an alternative to not do that?
I think the tree policy is more meant for people that are just doing tree removal, not having a road built that also includes tree removal.
But how do we know if they don't tell us?
I mean, that's how every, like, we don't know what any applicant unless, like, we don't know what they're doing unless any of them tell any of us.
Exactly,
So
that's
we
why
have
we
to go
gotta
based
protect
off what
ourselves.
they present to us. So we wouldn't even be able to make the MIPA argument to them if they didn't present to us what they were doing.
Yeah, I'm not saying make an argument, I'm just saying like, you gotta confirm it, or like, hey, if you're doing road work, yeah, this doesn't apply.
Yeah,
I-
I think that's fair. If Hannah gets an application that says, "Hey, we're doing a road expansion project that includes the removal of 10 trees," she can turn around and say, no, you need to submit an NOI.
Yeah.
Which hopefully you would do.
If they were.
I don't know, big old road, that sounds like tree application. Administrative approval, yeah, no, definitely something could use discretion. That's, the way it's written, it does give discretion. If ever a point where I'm like, something seems a little fishy about this, I just can say, sorry, this doesn't work, you need to file an RDA or an NOI.
Or come to the hearing and explain it to us.
Or come to the hearing and
Yeah.
explain.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is nice. This is a good alternative, but it's nice to know that, you know, if they can't afford the arborist or whatever, they can still go through the normal process. But I think this will take a lot of, you know,
Yeah,
potential.
this is perfect for those like dozens of homeowner tree problems we've had. This is going to be great for that, I think.
I do have a comment for section D under tree mitigation requirements. So you remember how we talked about like taking out the classifications of extra small, small, medium, large, and just simplifying it to actual concrete sizes? So under that, in that little chart that you want people to fill out with tree number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it says existing tree size class XS, extra small, small, medium, large. I think we should take that out and kind of put a note about like the DBH.
Wait, on which?
Under D,
Where is
see, right, here. Remember we took that out?
Oh,
So you
yeah,
should
I
just
thought you were
write
talking about
DBH.
this.
Yeah,
Oh, you're
no.
in the
Okay,
form.
yeah,
Yeah,
in the bottom there.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was looking for
Going through it and trying to take all the mentions of that out, and I totally.
No, it's all right. That's why we're all looking at it. Just so it's consistent. Because they might be like, well, what does she mean by extra small? What is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And Hannah, on the, just a little, I think it's a typo, or
Yeah.
maybe I.
Could
just-
definitely be a type.
No, it's okay.
I took the format from some other towns, and then that's kind of like messed with. So if anyone does see typos, please tell me.
Yeah, and I'm not being critical, but I saw replacement tree requirements, and then there's 3 little I's. Like next to it, which usually references a source, so to go find it.
Yeah.
Um,
Wait, where are we looking?
that's on the document itself, the tree removal policy. And
What
it's,
section?
let's see, under general, tree subject review, it is section tree removal application, I missed it there, it gets further down. Right there, it says replacement tree requirements, it's in under tree mitigation requirements. You see the 3 little I's?
Yep.
So then I wanted to see, okay, well, what does that represent?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's, yeah, it's not.
Yeah, there is no foot.
Yeah.
That's probably left over.
No, it was just minor, but
Yeah.
that was just.
Also under section C, tree cutting requests, the note says stump grinding only permitted beyond 25 feet from wetland edge and existing lawn. Is that in our bylaws?
It's not like specified, but we basically say like if you're stump grinding, it has to be in a landscaped area. So I just kind of added the
Okay.
that also.
Yeah,
has
and
to
we
be outside
actually
25.
verbally told
Which,
people.
I mean, it's not like they're putting in the tree application for that, but because it's the general tree policy, if they see that,
Okay.
might as well reaffirm that.
I was just
Even if you
making
do
sure
it
that
in
was
a line, you
consistent
should
with
be-
something else that we were saying, you know?
Good idea.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to just throw something in there that was never mentioned before or whatever. They'd be like, well,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I'm a teacher. I know all the questions kids would ask, and adults are no different. So.
It's very well, and that's why I like other people to look at this and be slightly critical because
Someone
I
could be like,
read
oh, well, what is this
over
over anything? Yeah.
and then you start, especially on a screen, because I'm not trying to like print everything out all the time. We go through enough papers, and then like it just kind of starts turning into you start seeing what you want to see sometimes because you've looked at it so long, your brain like leaves it for
We
you.
all went to college. We wrote a lot of papers. We get it.
There's last minute reports at work. Really few typos. Whole words missing. I'm like, you get the picture.
Heated emails to parents.
with, what is it, the chat, software that can write things now. Yeah, chat, that's just one, right?
Yeah, we'll see if I can use it.
But yeah, like,
Therapy.
yeah,
Write out the email and then be like,
yeah, clean it up for me.
This is pretty
Hannah,
thorough. This is
Hannah,
great.
the only thing I can see that it might be useful to people reading this if we just add this in there a little more plainly, but I'm thinking of if people are trying to convince us of this being an emergency, we might, I know it says at the last part of that section, the person seeking the emergency cert must request this declaration.
Yep.
We might want to add in there, like, if you believe or if an applicant believes their whatever to be an emergency, they should contact conservation agent or conservation staff or whatever.
Yeah.
I am also going to start pushing people towards like reaching out to Board of Health, Fire Department, Building Department, rather than me making that qualification sometimes. I'll say, hey, if you call them and say this is an emergency, if they tell me that's an emergency related to public health or public safety, then it makes it a lot easier for me to make that call. Otherwise, I'm kind of there going, and then it makes it a little bit harder. So I mean, yes, if it's an emergency and I can 100% tell them, okay, yeah, that's definitely.
Or if you're ever in a pickle and you want me to get eyes
But
on
it
it
just,
too.
yeah, it makes it a little bit easier if there is another party that is like the Board of Health or public safety that can make that call. Also.
Nicole, is there a hyperlink? Like, is this ISA form online? We
Yes.
could like hyperlink it in the document, they could just click it.
Well, the arborist would come prepared with that.
Oh.
So like the general public's not really supposed to like use that. You don't want people to think that they can print it and fill it out, you know what I mean? Like it is public on there, but it's only meant for an arborist that has that specific designation to use.
So it's a knowledge based.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they even tell you like, don't give your report on, like you break, you know, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
they don't want you to be charged with liability.
Well, because I could fill it out
Yeah.
and who the hell am I, you know? Yep.
Oh, you're done.
Well.
So for the signature part on the bottom of the page, it's kind of like whose signature is that?
Right.
You know, like maybe you should make it a little more specific, and also should there be a spot where you sign it, like as kind of a confirmation that it was received or something too? You know, or like, or at the bottom, right, like approved, and you know where you sign it, just so it's it's on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've
To
seen
have
other
that.
documents with that.
That's a good idea.
We should get you an official stamp.
I do have, well, I don't have like a Hannah agent stamp, but we do have like a received conservation stamp.
You should
So I
have
could
that.
stamp that, like if I receive it,
Yeah,
and
you
like, write out.
press it into the paper. And
Like the town clerk.
Like the town clerk.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's a good idea. We could have
Yeah.
applicant signature and then have
Yep.
agent.
So that way it's
sign
all on
So
there.
it's
Yeah.
all on
Yep.
there.
You're not doing different forms and getting confused.
Well, then the record is nice and clean.
Yeah.
It's right there.
And then I'll also do like a little box in the corner to say application received.
Yes.
And then I can get a little stamp there.
I would keep the signature for on the town side hand a little bit more general than just agent. I would say like
Okay, yeah.
commission or duly authorized representative, because you know, who knows, in 50 years maybe there won't be an agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just confused. I was like, signature, who's signing this?
Yep.
James, are you a lawyer? That was a great thought.
Make sure to get the stamp slightly off outside of the box.
Yeah.
So just like
Yeah.
angled,
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be. I don't know. Real.
That drives my type A brain nuts.
Yeah.
Perfectly centered. You should see me when I lay out a planting. Contractors hate me. I'm like, no, because like once you plant it and if this shrub is like that with the other shrub and this one's like this, I will go crazy.
So I guess there's no more comments on this. We will.
It looks really good.
Edits and
Yep.
make some. I'll make a comment by email and
I'll bring it to the next one and then hopefully.
Should be a quick one. Yeah.
So is this gonna be all put on the website with like the draft application, the application, the mapping guide, all that stuff's gonna be together? Okay.
Yep, I started a new policy page. So we have like the beaver application there and then I'll do tree policy and have all the tree policy docs.
Okay, cool.
And probably do like a little banner on the front page, just so people know that, be like, hey, here's our new policy page if you're looking.
Cool.
And when people search stuff, like, it will hopefully bring them to that, because I did accidentally have one of the draft documents from like a year ago that was clicked onto like public viewable, and somebody sent me it and was like, so can I do this? And I was like, no, sorry, that never happened.
Yeah, I can see how that happens, yeah.
Like, oh yeah, so people
That's
do
good to
use
know they
use
look,
that for
yeah,
search
that they're
terms,
using it.
so, yeah, but, okay. Sounds good.
We need to sign in, do we sign?
I think that's all for that stuff, if James wants to
Lakeview.
skedaddle, because otherwise it's just.
Vote on 100 Cross Street.
You know, the only thing I'll add just for on the informal map section on the last page, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure, I mean, the first, like, I like that we're trying to make their submissions consistent. I know a lot of people aren't used to GIS software programs, so
Yeah.
I'm almost wondering if it's worth you making sure that the name that we have listed here for what we want on there matches the layer that's on Access GIS.
Oh, like that, because it says 2023 right now, so it should
Because
be.
they have to click like what specific thing they want to turn on in Access GIS so that it shows on whatever we want them to submit. Um, so I just want to make sure that what we're saying, hey, we want location of existing, it says wetland resource areas, but on Access GIS it's just called wetlands. So that might confuse people.
Well, I guess, I guess that would be good. It's tough because I guess I didn't click on the wetland resource area line because they are so often like not accurate. Like the one even behind town hall, for the example, now I remember, I clicked that on and it wasn't accurate.
Right.
So I do have the circle around the DEP wetland layer and the FEMA floodplain layer and the state data layer, but it wasn't 100% accurate. So I didn't have that layer. Like I clicked it on for this, but it doesn't show that there's wetlands there.
Maybe put a
Yeah.
link into the town of Bellingham GIS mapping. Like,
I think it's in there on the
There is a
form.
link there's a link on the application, but not on
Right.
the training, the mapping example.
yeah, because when I do stuff like this for the kids, I always put a link at the top just because they don't look at other things.
Yeah, and it looks like, I know we're trying to make this
Myself
informal,
all
but
the time.
it looks like too, if we're wanting them to use some GIS program mainly, then the one we have for the town doesn't have buffer zones or riverfront areas, and neither does Mass GIS. So they would just kind of have to guess on that.
Yes, which I think, do I show the measuring tool? Oh no, do I not do measure?
Bad. Is there maybe, so you know how the assessor sometimes has like, an option where you can make like a buffer around your site to get all the abutters? Is there a way that we can have them do a buffer where you can click on a wetland?
It unfortunately does not do that, but there is a tool that you can measure with. So I'll add the measure tool on there.
I hope the older people will be able to do this.
They definitely won't, but there are some, they definitely 100% won't, but there are some like tech savvy people that I have had come in that once I explain it, they were able to do it. And if I just don't have to go through and explain it to them, because there's a little guidance dog, I think that will make everyone's life easier.
Just
If
think
I don't
like
have
when
to
I'm
go,
selling
like,
life
"Alright,
insurance,
you
like the
here,"
older people
and they
can't
do that.
figure out how to
Yeah.
look at their text messages. They're like,
And then like.
It's also
if
a
they
nice
give us
little
the
way
map,
of
we can
educating
look
the masses.
ourselves And be like,
Right.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, like this is something that you can use, like
Right.
that you can.
This
use
is so
for not
when you
just
want to
this.
dig,
a
when you want to
reference
dig, do like a shed on your property, you can't because there's wetlands out here.
Right. Yep.
all right, that's helpful though. Okay.
We do have a vote, it looks like. Do we want James to stick around for that?
He can if he wants. We have quorum for the COC and the emergency certification. So if you want to stick around, you can, but otherwise, up to James.
Yeah, I'll listen in.
So 77 Bruce Road, COC. What's COC stand for?
So certificate of compliance.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the one. I linked it in the portal, 77 Bruce. That was the one that it was a septic system. And they had also had that enforcement order, so we allowed them to construct up or leave the lawn up to a certain point, and then through the enforcement order, it did the restoration. So that will still be ongoing, even though we issued this certificate of compliance. The enforcement stuff will be ongoing, and they'll have to do monitoring reports for that. But the COC just covers that the septic went in and everything's stabilized,
And
and that
it
the buffer
is-
workers are there.
Yeah, they put the posts in.
Yes.
Are those 4x4s or, you know? I'm looking at it, I'm like, they look
I
pretty.
believe so. I think they're just like the standard treated wood, whatever is that a lot of
Yeah,
people
you
use.
just pressure treated
Yeah, the pressure treated
and they just
wood posts.
Really just put them in.
hammered them in the ground.
Where they fit.
All right, and they,
Completion in this case then? We're not giving them a certificate of compliance for the enforcement on it. It's like they completed the work. That they permitted.
Well, that's just what, it's just called a certificate of compliance.
but my only question when I was looking
It's
at the
like you
images,
complied with your order, essentially. Yeah,
And then it's filed.
did they put, there's one picture that I can see with a marker.
yes.
But the other posts, when I look at them, I can't see a marker. So maybe it's just me.
I think it's just blurry.
Yeah, I think it's just blurry, because
Okay, okay.
I went out there and the marker.
All right, good,
Yeah.
good. So they didn't just send these in?
No, no, no.
Because I was like,
No.
oh, it's nice, but maybe we gotta send them a dozen more markers.
Yeah, no, don't worry. They came, they picked up all of them, and
Good.
their engineer was they were very, I mean, it's nice when they do the work, everything's
Yeah.
stabilized, and then they come for the COC request, and we don't have to follow up with them like 15 years later and be like, okay.
Yeah, oh.
Did this?
Collaboration.
So that was nice, so.
All right, so do we vote on
So
that?
I'll entertain a motion to approve the COC for 77 Bruce Road and sign it.
So
moved.
Second.
All right, Don moved, Pam seconded.
Boy, we're like,
I know, exactly.
if it was like a gun fire, the bullets would hit.
I did show in the draft, there are those ongoing conditions related to the maintaining the buffer
Yes.
markers and the
Yes.
there, so. But
Cole is Don.
I,
Pam. James
I
and Ariane, I.
Ariane. I've been calling you Ariane. You've never corrected me.
I don't think you've ever really addressed me by my name.
I think I have. I
prefer to act like you don't exist.
I mean, like, normally when you're looking at me and talking to me, I know, so you don't have to, but like, yes.
Okay.
she makes me call him Madam Chair. Hey, Madam Chair.
They like changed the website a little bit. It looks nice.
It does.
Yeah, it's like there's like
Yeah.
apps and stuff.
They're trying to
like it's
update.
fancy, yeah. It's
Hopefully
fancy,
they,
popular links, right?
hopefully we get a new, cool little jetpack on the corner.
Right, they took our pictures off though, it
Yeah,
just says
yeah.
our names and
Oh.
when our commissions expire, we should have photos, we should have.
It doesn't say when they expire? When
Yeah.
does mine expire?
Oh, just on our page? Oh, yeah, I updated.
You need to
Well,
put,
I
like-
didn't update that.
I'll do a photo of myself like this in front of my flower
The
garden.
planning director updated
Yeah.
it, because she's been modernizing some stuff, because she's like, nope. Unfortunately, this does look nice, but nobody's gonna like do that to find stuff, so we're just gonna put it right in the front. I was like,
What about us with those like
Yeah,
high waders on, like in a wetland? with
March
safety
2027.
belts?
That's really-
Serious,
237, okay.
Uh,
I like that.
right?
Maybe some dirt.
Yeah. very serious.
Yeah.
So 100 Cross Street / Silver Lake Dam emergency certification.
so
Is
this
that
this is our first Beaver Dam situation under our new policy.
Yeah.
So as per our policy,
Yeah.
we had that it's technically on town-owned property, so they requested the emergency certification. There's Beaver Dam that's in the dam because the stop logs were up for a while in the winter, and then they just kind of decided to make a dam in the dam, but then it like breached a little bit, so then the water was getting real low, so they breached it enough to get the stop logs in, and then they're having Beaver Solutions. Yeah, they're like one of the main companies that does that stuff. They're gonna come in and just remove the whole thing because it's
Yeah.
kind of necessary for dam safety.
What's gonna happen to the beavers?
Make it move to my house.
They've been moving down that whole stream because the
It's probably-
farm across the street
Huh?
from me,
Part of the
it flooded.
Oh, no.
And it's
No, it's just.
probably 300 yards down the stream from where.
But part of
the dam
the
was.
dam safety.
So they're
Stuff for that one.
moving, you know,
When they did the new,
migrate.
when they did the dam.
They're just so cute. I can't help it.
they're
You
not-
know, I'm always like, oh.
No, not for that. No.
Alright, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the emergency certification or ratify. To ratify the emergency certification for 100 Cross Street and Silver Lake Dam.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion? Okay. Nicole,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
James,
I
and Ariane, aye.
Hannah, do they send you pictures of the dam so we have things like that documented?
I go out there, so
Oh,
as per the policy.
Yeah.
And our.
but do you
emergency
need to in some of these
certification-
cases, like if they send you a bunch of pictures?
Yeah, I mean, they
It's
can,
easy
but
enough.
I just try to go, unless I can't get there within the
Yep.
24 hours that they need to. And then they're just doing the work anyways, like, if you can schedule something, you go out there, so. This
So
was
it worked
something they
then, the whole,
reported, and
this
then, yeah,
new procedure worked and
Yeah.
it was efficient?
yeah, so
Excellent.
it's good, so that's good, but yeah, so Dylan, the Board of Health agent, and I, like, we try to go at the same time.
Yep.
If we can't, we can't, but, so we just went out and.
We
Took a
need
look
to
at it,
sign
took
anything?
pictures. So because it's the emergency certification, I can just sign off on that, and because of our policy, we said that's a good way to go, and then. For all emergency certifications, if it's either the chair signs it or the agent signs it, you guys just have to ratify it at the next scheduled meeting.
And so it was right at the dam, like where those.
Where the stuff
Yeah,
was going. It
so
was
that
literally
makes sense, right?
They were just trying to help.
Oh,
They were trying to
I
dam the
know.
dam.
They were.
You know what I keep
trying for
thinking?
help.
You know where the island is?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
The meeting, so moved.
Second.
Discussion?
third.
Pam,
Aye.
Nicole,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
James,
I
aye.